Hey, what's up everyone? It is I, the Video Game Hunter, and welcome to another VGH pickup video. And finally, we are back at the Louisville Arcade Expo after that convention's been taking a break about a year or so. And you all can blame it on Corona-chan, because if you were living on the rock, it was because of Corona-chan that pretty much all conventions had to go and take a break. Because, you know, the certain illness was getting a lot of people sick and having their lives pretty much ruined. But, that being said, I am glad that Louisville Arcade Expo is back, and as usual, I picked up a lot of decent stuff. So, that being said, let me show you guys what they are. Alright, so the first items that I'm going to be showing you guys are these Mortal Kombat Marquee's Arcade Magnets. And as you can tell by looking at my fridge, I really need some more gaming material on here. So when I came across this guy's booth selling mostly nothing but magnets, I had to pick some up. And what a better way to decorate my fridge by buying up some Mortal Kombat ones. Especially since, you know, that was my favorite fighting series growing up. So the next few games that I'm going to be showing you guys are Nintendo games that I already own, but since these copies are complete in box and I really do enjoy these games, I just had to pick them up. So the first complete in box game that I'm going to be showing you guys is FZero for the Super Nintendo. Now, I'm going to have to be real honest with you guys. I am not the biggest racing fan on the Retro Console. If anything, I kind of prefer playing platformer games like Super Mario World or Ninja Gaiden or something like that. But when someone recommended me FZero when I started collecting for the Super Nintendo, they were absolutely spot on. This is a fantastic futuristic racing game. The only thing that holds this game back from being a perfect 10 out of 10 is the fact that it has no two-player modes. Which really sucks because of all the video games that deserve a two-player mode, it's definitely FZero. So our next game is DoubleSeven, The War Is Not Enough. Now, most people when they think of 007 games on the N64, they are usually thinking of GoldenEye. But to me, it will always be The War Is Not Enough. Because this is the game I grew up playing on my older brother's N64. And still, to this day, every time I pop this game into my N64, I have to go straight to the first level and punch that lady at the front desk. I have no real reason, it isn't like I hate women or anything, but I just find it so hilarious. Good evening, sir. How may I help you? Pow! It's Bond. James Bond. So the next game I'm going to be showing you guys is actually the second most expensive game that I bought at this year's Louisville Arcade Expo. Gargoyles Quest 2. And in case you guys are wondering how much I spent on this game, I spent about $225. Yeah, that's a lot of money for a game that you already own. But here's the thing. I never thought that I would ever come across a box copy of this game. And this game is actually one of my favorite NES games to play. So really, I have no regrets paying this much. So that being said, Gargoyles Quest 2, in my humble opinion, is probably one of the most hardest games on the NES. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it really punishes you for playing a game that's a platformer and an RPG. And the reason why I say it really punishes you is because once you lose all your lives and get a game over and you use a continue, it really sets you back. Like, really. It might set you back probably 10 minutes before you can meet up to the place that you actually died on. But the good news is that the further you get into this game, the easier it gets. And that's because every time you finish a level or so, you get more power-ups. And these power-ups will actually help you glide farther, jump higher, or get new firepower. It's only the early in the game that you're going to have the most trouble on. So our next game that I'm going to be showing you guys is Spice and Wolf: My Year with Hollow. And here's my thing. I'm actually very familiar with the anime, but I really did not know that this anime had a video game adaptation. I mean, I'm actually very aware of the VR games that you can buy on Steam, but a full-blown DS game? Well, how would that work? Well, here's how, but first, let me explain that the gameplay footage that you are seeing right now, it's actually me using an emulator with a translation patch. And the reason why I'm using an emulator instead of me using an actual gameplay footage from the actual system is because, for one, the Nintendo DS is region lock, so I can't play Japanese games on here. Two, I have no way to capture gameplay footage, and even if I could, this game would be in Japanese. So that being said, the best way that I can describe this game is that it's a business simulation game. Yeah, it's not a 2D side-scrolling game, and it's not really an RPG, but a business simulation. It's all about making a profit, which, to be honest, that really represents the anime pretty well. Despite the fact that it's not following the complete story of the anime, but still, if you like the anime, you might like this game. So, the next game we got here is DJ Boy on the Sega Genesis. And I'm straight up telling you guys right now that I really don't like this game. Like, at all. When I came home and played this game in my Genesis, I didn't really bother trying to beat the first level. After playing a bit, I'm like, nah, this game is not for me. Which is weird because I actually gave the arcade version a try a long time ago, and I didn't think it was that bad. It's partly because the home version is such a really bad port, and what makes the thing even worse is that this is only a one-player game, and I think this game would have been a lot easier if I had a second person to play with. So other than that, give you a quick description. It's an inline skating beat-em-up game, and I do not recommend it. Not the home version, anyway. So our next game we're going to look at is Medieval 2 on the PlayStation. Now, I actually been looking for a copy for the Medieval games for quite a while, but for whatever odd reason, I could never find a copy of any of the two games on the PlayStation. Which is kind of sucks because I do have some nostalgia for it. Despite the fact I never actually played an official copy of the game, I actually remember playing the first game on a Pizza Hut demo disc, which you got to play the first level, and for what I understand, somewhat of the second level. And ever since playing that game as a child, I always want to get a copy of the game, but can never find one. But I found the second game, which I'm sure is just as good as the first one. Now here's a game that's a blast from the past, Ape Escape on PlayStation. Now, I've been meaning to pick up this game pretty much ever since I started collecting, but for whatever odd reason, every time I come across a copy, I always felt like the seller are asking way too much for the game. Matter of fact, probably like a week or so before I came to the Louisville Arcade Expo, I actually saw a copy of this at a game store that they were asking for $60, and I came so close to buying it. I am so glad that I passed it, because at the Louisville Arcade Expo, they were only asking for $25. Now, for what I understand, Ape Escape was actually the very first video game on the PlayStation that actually forced you to use the analog controllers. And growing up with the PlayStation, I always hated the analog controller. I never really understood why we need it for the system. But then here comes Ape Escape that literally forces you to use it, and it felt so natural. It probably took me some time to get used to it, but once I got it down, the game was actually pretty good. Next, we got PN03 product number. So I picked up this game simply because I remember X-Play reviewing this game a long time ago. And let's just say that I probably should have rewatched that video before picking this up, because this game is really not all that great. Which is a real shame because the graphics actually look really good, and the main character actually reminds me of Bayonetta and Space Channel 5 chick being put together. It's the gameplay and the controls that really ruins it. Basically, you're just shooting the same enemies over and over again, and as soon as they shoot back, you are praying that your dodge button will actually dodge the bullets. If not, it can actually put you in a tough situation. Next, we got Muramasa, the Demon Blade. Now, I technically already own this game. I actually own a copy of this game on the PlayStation Vita. But since I found the original copy, complete in box for the Wii, it was a must-buy. Because this game is fucking fantastic. And you can quote me on that. The graphics are beautiful painted, and the 2D fighting gameplay is fantastic and challenging. It really does make you wonder, why did they release this game on a motion control console? The only real downside I have with this game is the fact that you only have like 2 characters to go through the whole game with. While the PlayStation Vita, yes, it's the same 2 characters, but if you get the DLC or the digital collection, you get 4 extra stories to play through. Alright, we are now down to our last game in this video. And it's also the most expensive game that I paid at this year's Louisville Arcade Expo. Shining Force CD. Now, I am going to go ahead and tell you guys how much I paid for this so I can get this out of the way. I paid $335 for this Sega CD game. And boy, I really do not regret it, because I actually really enjoyed this game. For what I understand, Shining Force CD is actually an updated version from the Shining Force games that came out on the Game Gear. Shining Force Gaiden and Shining Force Gaiden 2. Now, I'm currently playing Book 1 on this game, and for what I understand is that it takes place 20 years after the first game. And to give you guys my quick thoughts on the gameplay, I absolutely love it. I love the gameplay of this game. For a turn-based strategy game, I am absolutely hooked on it. And if it wasn't for the fact that I have other RPGs to play, I would totally be on this game right now, marathoning it. And if you can't afford Shining Force CD, I would highly recommend maybe bootlegging it. Unless there's some way you can digitally download it somehow from Steam or whatever digital service that are out there, please give this game a go. I'm already recommend it. I don't care. And there you have it, folks. That was my Louisville Arcade Expo 2022 pickup video. And hopefully, some of the games that I showed off actually brought some interest into you guys to give those games a try. But if not, that's okay. Thank you for watching my pickup video. But I'm also hoping that maybe later this year, I can do some more pickup videos. Can't guarantee, but I'm praying that I can. So, that being said, again, thank you so much for everyone for watching. This is the Video Game Hunter, And until next time, goodbye.
Hey.